forum like this to make sure that before you leave, you take somebody's phone number here that you didn't know, who you might want to get to know better, and really begin to engage with others in that way. There are lots of opportunities to put yourself out there. But what are some of these ways that we can do? Many people talk about retirement as a natural process of aging, but many people today don't want to leave their work, and that is okay. So working or finding part-time work, finding ways to use your skills is considered one way to stay engaged. If you don't want to stay at your workplace, maintaining your relationships with your coworkers outside of work. Continue to go to those dinners that you have once in a while, or to volunteer is another way. How many of you do work still? Great. Still volunteer? How many people volunteer? Look at this numbers. This is great. Okay. But I want to challenge to say that not all volunteer jobs are equal. And I think it's important for you to identify what it is you're looking for as a volunteer. It's important to feel that you have impact, and it's important to feel that you're getting some of those needs of social engagement through your volunteer work. So if you're just going in and they tell you to sit in a corner and stuff envelopes, and that's not what you want to do, you have a choice. There are lots of organizations like ours in Journey's Way. We have over 350 volunteers at Center Park. We'd be glad to incorporate you into an environment that helps you feel very connected. So volunteer work, I want to call civic engagement. It's where you feel you're having an impact and you are really being part of a community. And therefore that meets some of those needs of regularity and those needs of community that I think are really very protective in our aging years. 8 out of 10 older people do volunteer, and over the age of 55. And when people are over the age of 75, 6 out of 10 are volunteering. That's a huge number. And even amongst those people who are volunteering, many of them do work outside of that. How many of you are handling grandchildren or neighbors' kids, giving a hand, or in the schools, or whatever? So it's sometimes formalized volunteer and sometimes informal. But again, there's no right way to do this. It's purely finding the right fit for you. One of my most favorite stories about a volunteer is a woman who walked into our center one day who was, she was quite depressed because her husband had passed away. She had a long-term marriage, and she herself never worked. And she walked in just not knowing what to do with herself. And one of our staff got a hold of her and said, okay, what is it that you've done in your life? What is it? She said, I've done nothing. I've not accomplished anything. All you're hearing was this just depressed mood. And then they began to dig a little to find that, okay, she didn't have a job, but her husband was a corporate executive and traveled the world. And what she did on those trips was to take pictures, of which she had files and files of wonderful photographs from her experiences in traveling all over the world. And they said, would you share this with others? Would you be willing? Oh, I've never taught. I can't possibly teach. We'll be with you and we'll help you. Well, that woman, for the rest of her life, did an armchair travel program. That was extraordinary. And the one thing she took from this was, I never knew I had this in me. So a great volunteer program will take your skills and help you to feel a part of something bigger than yourself, as well as connected to other people. So make sure when you present yourself, if you want to volunteer, to reach out to people who can help coach you with this, and to begin to think about ways that you can find a mutually beneficial experience. But there's other things to do. And in a city like Philadelphia, I don't know about you, but there's just so much to do that I find sometimes hard to decide. But when you don't have a lot of money or you're not working, there are other things to do. To docent in one thing that makes you your passion, some kind of a cultural event. I see people getting free tickets to the Wilma or to other kinds of theater programs because they're offering their volunteer services, concerts, or whatever is passionate to you. I love theater, so I go to the theater a lot and see this, but you might like music, you might like other things. Community events, get local, get in your community. Get involved in the civic organization. Get involved in whatever festivals go on in your locality where you can sense connection with your neighbors. Involve in your family and whoever you identify as your family. those folks who really you care about. It takes a bit of giving of yourself to get back, and I think that's the piece. For some folks who've never been really social, am I off? Am I done? 2 minutes, okay, thank you. It's important to invest in who's good around you. And sometimes we have to heal some difficult times with our family and friends. And it's important to take a moment to take stock in that or to seek some help from people who can help you coach or to counsel. It's a way of thinking out what is my best way of going forward. I guess my message today is it's never too late to change our perspective about our social environment, and investment in it is worth your time and effort. Any questions that you have or suggestions you want to add in the last minute that is there? Please.
I've noticed that the people that I know that are depressed means that they're not going to talk to someone because they're depressed.
Right.
So when I hear a lot of the suggestions, to me, it's on the back here for those people that feel, really lost. And I also think that when we talk about the LGBT community, especially in my case, and racial, in order to get to where you want to do what you love, it takes tons of energy to love yourself because you're already talking black, you're gay. By the time you get through that,
yes.
To start thinking about how wonderful I am. I listen, but I never hear when I go to functions like this how to do this. I mean, a lot of people live by themselves, but how would you at this point find somebody to live with? Or, that's it.
I think the challenge is greater. I agree with you. Thank you for bringing that up for everybody. I do. In terms of strategies, I think again, this kind of forum I think is wonderful. You have people of like mind and experience, and those are, I think, ways to begin to reach out to people who will understand. And having that mutuality of understanding is, first of all, the key to beginning to believe in oneself, I think, is having that support. So any other ways we can create support that makes those issues seem more manageable and give one the strength to reach out is all great investment, I think. Thank you very much for your time.
And thank you, Cynthia Wishkovsky, for reminding us that being around like-minded people, supportive people, is key to healthy aging, and that we are mind, body, spirit, and community. So, going on from the topic of social engagement, we come to physical environment. That environment being our homes, most immediately, and also our communities. And here to speak about that is Carolyn Kotloff. She's been a physical therapist at Chestnut Hill Hospital since 2008. She's a graduate of Arcadia University. Kotloff is board certified in orthopedic physical therapy and is also certified by the McKenzie Institute in mechanical diagnosis and therapy. She sees patients in both inpatient and outpatient units at Chestnut Hill Hospital. So, welcome, Dr. Carolyn Kotloff.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Yeah? Okay, so I'm here to talk about aging well in your physical environment, which for most people means keeping your home safe so that you don't fall. Falling is a big deal, it causes big problems, and nobody really wants to deal with it. But at the same time, falls are the leading cause of emergency room visits and the leading cause of overnight hospital visits for people who are over the age of 65. So it really is, it's a big deal in most people's lives. And as you get older and older, it becomes even more of a problem because your risk of falling increases as you get older. Among the people who are 85 and older, their risk of falling is 4 to 5 times greater than those in their 60s and